see Frazier pass a whole lot last year. That'll be interesting to see. The secondary's got to step up. Like I said, I don't really trust them, but if they're going to have any success past 6-6, which I think would be a failure this year, then the secondary is going to have to step up and make some plays. And my third one, and probably the oddest one, I think, is anyone brave enough to go up the middle? If you look at all of Auburn's key special players, running back, quarterback, wide receiver, they're all fast speed guys. And I wonder if anybody's brave enough to go over the middle and to try to make that play, especially with a big fullback. Will any of the running backs run up the middle, or is everybody going to try to bounce it outside? I think that's going to be another key, because if you're not going up the middle, you're cutting out a third of your field, and that just makes it a lot easier on defense.
Absolutely. So I think the theme of the day for Auburn is question marks. I think we can both agree that there's a lot of things that, if they pan out, Auburn could be a very good competitor in the SEC this year, and then there's a lot of things that, if they go the other direction, maybe Auburn could be looking at a 6-6 season. So just a lot of unproven commodities, lots of exciting stuff, but the good news is these questions will start being answered approximately a little over a week from today. Very exciting stuff. So in preparation for that, I'm going to wrap up the show here by talking about David and my preseason top 10. You can look at some of these other polls, the AP, the coaches. Those guys have no idea what they're talking about. Me and David are going to give you the straight shooting here on the other side of this commercial break. You're going to want to stick around for this. We're going to tell you the 10 best teams in the country right here on Outputting Our Coverage. We are back here on Outputting Our Coverage. As promised, it's time to tell you who the 10 best college football teams are in the country, so you can make sure you watch all of these teams on opening weekend to see how right we are. I'm going to go ahead and start off with my preseason top 10, counting them back from number 10. Number 10, I got Michigan State, my lone Big Ten representative. I think they're, and let me preface this by saying, when I created this list, I did not look at schedules or who I thought would finish the best or who has to play who. This is purely based on who I think the 10 best teams are, without any of that other stuff thrown in. So, number 10, Michigan State from the Big Ten. Number 9, we get our first SEC team, Georgia, pretty much just based on that defensive talent that they have. Number 8, Oklahoma. A lot of other people have Oklahoma ranked quite a bit higher than this, but I feel like they got one or two many question marks and some injuries already in the season that can kind of drop them back a little bit. At number 7, I have South Carolina from the SEC. I think they could surprise a lot of folks this year with what Steve Spurrier has been putting together over there. Number 6, I have Florida State. Probably will regret this one for having them quite so high when they just end up disappointing every year, but maybe this is finally the year for the Seminoles. Number 5, I got West Virginia, who you'll have to tune in next week to hear some of our predictions, but they would be very high on my list of teams to win the Big 12. I think they're going to do very well in that new league. Got that wide-open offense. Number 4, I have USC, the other USC, Southern California. Lots of talent over there. Just never quite trust Lane Kiffin. Number 3, I have Alabama. I think Alabama and LSU are almost interchangeable in the number 3 and number 2 slots. Of course, I have LSU in number 2. And David, you want to take a guess at my number 1 team?
Do you have USC up there?
No, USC is number 4.
Who's your number 1 team?
Oregon.
What?
Oregon.
Does that surprise you?
It does surprise me because they lost a lot. They lost their quarterback and a really top running back. I mean, they still got a pretty good committee back there, but yes, that does surprise me.
I don't know. I just got a feeling about Oregon. They got quite a few talented guys coming back. I think they're actually going to get the better of USC, and I don't know. I just think the SEC's run has to end at some point, and maybe this is the year. I don't know. Just pulling one out of my hat there.
Well, here's something for you. Oregon is not in my top 10.
Really? They're not even in your top 10?
Not even in my top 10.
We're going to have to start a weekly Oregon watch just because we're so different here.
We will do that with a duck watch.
A duck watch, yeah. From the Duck Blind.
Okay. You ready for my top 10?
I'm ready. Shoot them at me.
All right, I've got a bold prediction at number 10, starting it off. I've got Louisville at number 10.
All right, hang on. You got to tell me your reasons for this. I'm not saying that.
I really believe in their offense. They have gotten some really good recruits out of nowhere, and they've done it quietly. And I believe that they're going to have a really good defense. I believe in Louisville this year.
Wow. Okay. That is a. We may have to have a Louisville watch too, or a bold prediction watch of some sort. I don't know.
Okay. Yeah, we'll do some bold predictions next week.
Yeah. Go ahead.
Number 9, I've got Michigan.
Okay.
I think outside of the game against Alabama, they'll be pretty good. Number 8, I've got Georgia. I've got Oklahoma at 7. I'm also with you. I really like Western Virginia. Who I really am high on, that not a lot of people, I like Wisconsin this year.
Okay.
I think this is the year that they're just going to sweep the Big Ten. South Carolina at number 4. I've got USC at number 3. Alabama at number 2, and LSU at number 1.
Okay. So a couple of differences there, but nothing too major. Let's talk about Michigan real quick. We'll probably get into this a little bit more next week, but I was getting into a discussion with some folks at work this week about Denard Robinson. Are you a fan? Do you think is he the guy? Is he a Heisman contender, or does he just have bust written all over him this year?
No, I think he'll be serviceable. I just don't think that they're going to run the offense like he was used to running with Rodriguez there. But he is still effective no matter what offense you put him in. I don't think he's a legitimate Heisman contender because he gets hurt too much. I don't think he's going to be on the field enough. It's like Michael Vick. You can go ahead and guarantee he'll play about 60% of the snaps, but he'll never be in there for a full season. I really like their coach. I like the attitude that he's bringing back, the kind of hard-nosed defense, the running up the gut. I like seeing Michigan back where they used to be.
All right, so let's talk about the anti-Michigan. Much to Emily's chagrin, you got to talk about Ohio State here. They're not in our top 10 lists, but realistically, how good of a season do you think they could have this year?
I think 9 wins, realistically. I think you could get away with 8 and be okay, but anything under that, people are just going to throw up their arms about it. They're going to be extremely upset. People in the Buckeye State do not like losing, and I think they'll be okay. They still got some recruits coming in. I think where they hurt is in the next couple of years.
So you really think that even if they had a not quite so good season, like 8 wins or so, the fact that they're on probation and everything, the Ohio State fans will still be upset about that?
Well, Ohio State fans are just as unreasonable as Alabama fans. I mean, anything under 8 wins is going to be a loss, no matter how you try to spin it.
All right. So we've kind of played this game before where we say traditional power, are they coming back or not? I mentioned Florida State. Give me your thoughts on Florida State. Are they for real this year, finally?
I've trusted Florida State so many times, and I've been let down every single time. I just don't know if they can get past the mindset. Florida State, when they were amazing, they were getting the best recruits, they had the best athletes. I just don't think they can do that anymore in the state of Florida. And as you notice, they're not in my top 10 anywhere. I think Florida State suffers at least one upset loss and one shock loss. I think they've got at least 2 or 3 losses this year. And, it'd be a great season for almost anybody else. But at Florida State, with all the expectations they have on this year, I just don't think that's going to be enough.
Okay. Yeah, one more question for you. Give me your dark horse national championship contender this year.
Dark horse national championship this year, I'd say, was Wisconsin.
Okay.
I don't see anybody ranking them past 12th this year. I guess that's not really a dark horse, but I think they could really sneak up and they could go undefeated this year. I think they could get in, and they've got a strong running game. Their passing game is going to have to develop as they go, but Wisconsin's pretty typically very strong on defense, so I think this could be Wisconsin's year if a couple things go right.
I'm going to go with West Virginia in that slot. I think they could, if things work out for them well in the Big 12, they they would have a pretty easy path into the title game. The Big 12 strength of schedule and the quality of opponents would be enough to get them in there, maybe even with one loss against an SEC team, and there you go. I mean, we've seen this formula before where you have a really high-powered Pac-10 or Big 12 offense against a stout SEC defense, and it usually doesn't work out too well for the non-SEC team, but I don't know, maybe that's not an unrealistic matchup to look forward to. So
I think it's probably a good fit.
We will see. So very exciting stuff happening on Outplaying Our Coverage next week. We're going to be talking about actual games, previewing Alabama's game against Michigan in the Jerry Dome. We'll be talking about Auburn's game against Clemson in the Georgia Dome, talking about the rest of the SEC action going on next week, some other big games. We're going to be talking about real football next week, David. Do you understand the magnitude of this?
I just know that next Thursday there are going to be wings and pizza. We're going to have football going on. People all over the place will rejoice. It'll be like New Year's Eve all over again.
It's going to be wonderful. It's Christmas in September, August, whatever month it will be, Thursday, when college football season gets started. As we mentioned before, look on our Twitter, on our Facebook, wherever you find us, for the link to join the official Outpunting Our Coverage Pick'em pool. It's very important. It could possibly be the most important thing you'll ever do with your life, the only thing that some of you will ever be able to win at or lose at, because you're not going to be able to beat me and David. But anyway, make sure you get in on that. As I mentioned, the first slate of games is already up. I'm not sure whether you can actually start picking or not, but make sure you get in on that because there is a Thursday night game on there. So you're going to want to make sure you pick that game before we get to the show next week so that you don't end up having to take a loss on that one. So make sure you sign up for the Outputting Our Coverage official Pick'em college football pool. We'll have all the instructions for that, as we mentioned, on Twitter, Facebook, wherever it is you find us. Make sure you tune in next week. Same time here. We'll be talking real football on Outputting Our Coverage. As always, thanks for listening, and we will see you next week.